Sup guys, Penta here. In this video I wanna talk about Borderlands 3 and more specifically Zane's skill set. Before we start, I wanna say that the footage you're seeing is actually from Gearbox's gameplay review from last week, and I don't actually own any kind of gameplay, and so if there's someone in the comments that can lend me gameplay, I would highly appreciate it. I'm going to analyze Zane the operative and his abilities, trying to make the case that Zane is possibly one of the strongest characters in the entire Borderlands series. So I'm gonna start from the least important tree, in my opinion, which is the undercover tree. It's a more focused on defense and tankiness to give you more survival and resistance to damage in general. And right away we have the first ability, which is the action skill called Barrier, which basically drops a barrier that blocks the incoming projectiles and also gives gun damage if you fire through the barrier. It's a really interesting skill because you can actually get the barrier to yourself and use it as a shield, I think. So it's similar to Athena's shield, but you can actually put as a barrier. It's interesting for a team play perspective. And his first passive ability is Adrenaline. He basically gains more action skill cooldown, which is kind of nice, especially because it's in the very beginning of the tree, so you can actually put points at this and still benefit other action skills you have in another tree. The second one, you get more shield capacity, and the third one is more shield recharge rate and delay. These are skills that are very common in the Borderlands series. You've seen that in Borderlands 1, 2 and the pre-sequel, probably in some character or the other. They are good skills, but they are really focused on keeping yourself alive more. I don't see much purpose on them because you can just get a better shield instead of putting points on these skills. Anyway, moving on, we have the Brain Freeze, which is a good skill that can make a good cryo build that you will see later on, that he has some cryo abilities that can freeze enemies. So if you wanna make a specific cryo build, you can use these abilities to make your character more, let's say, wholesome in terms of dealing cryo damage. You have here damage resistance, which is also kind of meaningless, I think. I'm gonna say that Zane is not really a tanky character in my opinion. Is more of a assassin type, and you will see in the next the other two trees what I mean. You can also get health regeneration from this tree. It's also kind of lackluster in my opinion. Next up you have this, which is the first really offensive skill, confident competence. But to reach this point you actually need to put 10 points in this tree, which is quite a lot. It's a big commitment to get a little bit of gun damage while your shield is up, which is not always. Like, many times your shield is gonna be down, so you're not getting anything out of it. But then you have more skills here, which reduces the elemental damage on you. And here's the Cryo Nova, which is a kill skill. It's actually a nice skill. If it wasn't so down in the skill tree, it would be nice, but you need 15 points just to reach this skill here, which is a lot. Then you have Futility Belt, which is also a skill, and you have resistance to non-elemental damage, and you convert all the elemental damage you take to non-elemental, so it's also a tanky kind of skill. In the last line of skills you actually have refreshment that gives you a certain lifesteal, which is good, but you will see that in other 3 you actually can get life steal easily and with spending less points than this. Here you have another freeze skill, calm, cool and collected, and it's actually really nice because it can regenerate your action skill completely, but then to reach this point you need 20, and you have to choose between refreshment and this one, or nerves of steel, which gives you accuracy and handling, which accuracy was never a really good stat to put points into, at least in my opinion. Here you can see that I crossed this last one because this I forgot the name of this actually. It's enhancement to your action skill. I'm not actually going to cover those. Every 3 has some enhancements to your action skill. At this point I don't see the purpose to discuss them. Now moving on to the first good skill tree, and it's the Hitman, and the action skill is the S and T and L, which is actually a drone, I think kinda Wilhelm's drone. You can just put it out and it will do a lot of damage to the enemies. It can also drop grenades. It's a nice action skill, I think. I'm not sure if you actually need to enable your action skill to enable the entire tree, because if that's the case you can only choose 2 trees to level up, but we'll have to see. But right off the bat we have, you see that this tree is much better in terms of your offense, because you have violent speed that gives you movement speed when you kill the enemies for 8 seconds. It's a quite large boost, 4% at the first level at least. And then right here you have Cold Bore, which is a good cryo damage build like ability. You can pair this with the skills we had in the Undercover, like the Confident Competence and the Calm Cool Collected, but it's not really something to be focused on if you don't want to build directly cryo damage. Violent Momentum synergizes a lot with Violent Speed because it gives you gun damage 6% at first level for at the default walk speed, which I believe to be your walking speed without running. So if you run you get even more than 6% gun damage while walking. So if you have your violent speed enabled and you're running and shooting, you actually can get a lot of gun damage. Going to the second line here, we have Cool Hand, which is also a kill skill that gives you reload speed passively and reload speed if you kill an enemy. So it's quite a lot of reload speed you get from this. Drone Delivery gives your drone the ability to drop grenades. It's actually quite nice because it's only 1 point that you need to put at this, so you can pretty much buff your drone with a very low cost in terms of skill points. Here we have a survivability skill, which is actually a life steal. Like we saw in the Undercover tree that there is a refreshment skill here that gives you life steal, but it requires you 20 points to reach this. So in the Hitman skill you actually only need 5 points to reach the life steal. So it's a reduced life steal here, sure, but it's like makes much more sense to spend only 5 points to get life steal than spending 20 points. So it's makes much more sense to level up Salvation than the other one on the Undercover tree. And next up we have the most important skill of this build. This is the skill that I think that makes Zane so strong. It's called Seeing Red. Activating an action skill automatically activates all Zane's skills. So basically, that means when you activate your drone or any other action skill you have enabled, you're gonna get all of your kill skills active at the same time. So you're gonna have violent speed, you're gonna have cool hand and salvation, and you're gonna see now down here you have violence, which is a skill that gives you fire rate. So you're also gonna get fire rate. Yeah, so just for activating your action skill, you're gonna get a huge buff in your damage. Playing dirty is also a kill skill, and you get the chance to have extra projectiles. I don't actually know what that means, but it sounds good. If it's actually a replica of your bullet type, that can be really powerful. And it's also a 10% chance, which is not a low chance at all. I wonder at level 5 what is the chance of the extra shot. But for me it seems like a really strong ability as well, that can easily be activated just by activating your action skill when you have points in seeing red. You have other 2 kill skills in this tree. This is the Good Misfortune, that give you max duration to your action skill, which is fair enough, really good. And the last skill here is a skill that buffs your kill skills by 40% and gives you more 4 seconds in its duration. So it was 8 seconds before for all kill skills here. It's gonna be 12 seconds, and they are gonna have 40% more effects. What can I say? There is so much synergy in this skill tree. Every skill complements the other one. Basically, all because of seeing red, you can activate your kill skills so easily that makes I don't see the point to put any points on the undercover tree here if you really wanna go for damage. If you wanna go tanky, I guess, but I don't believe Zane is the best tank character in the game. We will have to see, but I don't believe that. So now for the last skill tree, it's Doubled Agent. We have the action skill called Digi-Clone, which is like Jax in the pre-sequel, like his ability, which makes a clone. The clone attacks. It's quite interesting. We will see more down in this tree that it can be quite strong. And the first ability here is Synchronicity, and gives you gun damage when you activate an action skill. That's quite good. I'm not sure if it's really worth it, because your action skill is gonna take some time to recover and everything. Like just for example, the Digi-Clone has a cooldown of 26 seconds and duration of 18 seconds. So you're gonna have extra gun damage for 18 seconds basically, and you're gonna have to wait like 10 seconds to enable it again. And it sounds good enough, I guess. Sounds good enough. So we get 2% at the first level. Next one is Premonitus, not sure. Increases the magazine size for you and your Digi-Clone. This is kinda nice. Depending on the weapon you have, this can be really strong. If it's a weapon of really high damage and you increase its magazine size, you can really impact your final DPS. Borrow Time gives you more action skill duration, which is really good. If you pair this with the Hitman skill here, where is it? Duration. Okay, Good Misfortune here. That gives you more action skill duration. You actually can get a quite high action skill duration if you combine these two. Basically, it's 5% here with more 4% there. It's 9% more action skill duration. That's almost 10%, which is about here 1 or 2 seconds more in your digiclone, for example. That's good. And this is only, I'm talking about just the first level of this skill. Next up we have Donnybrook. Donnybrook is a kill skill that gives you gun damage to yourself and your digiclone, health regeneration also. So this is a skill here that gives you more survivability. Maybe you can actually skip getting the salvation here in the Hitman tree. You can skip this, the life steal there, and just put points in the Donnybrook, so you can have some survivability there. We have Fractal Frags that gives you a grenade mod to your digiclone, and also killing an enemy gives you the chance to throw a grenade with your clone, and it's a quite good chance, 30% at the first. It's only one level, so it's 30% chance. It's quite nice. Imagine that you can simply activate a kill skill with the scene red here from the Hitman tree. This is a really strong skill to pair with, since every time that you activate an action skill, you're gonna have 30% chance to throw a grenade mod with your clone. Duct tape gives a chance to fire a grenade with your weapon. I don't know how this works exactly. This skill doesn't call my attention very much. I would prefer to skip it and put points elsewhere. We have next up the Quick Breather. Quick Breather gives you a recharging to your shield when you swap places with your clone. You're gonna see down here we have a skill that allows you to change places with your clone. And Quick Breather is a good survivability skill, which actually is way better. Now going back to the undercover tree here, it's way better than putting points in maximum shield capacity, shield recharge rate. It's much better to have something like this that gives you a immediate recharge when you do certain action. You have here pocket full of grenades. It's a kill skill too. We can see like Zane has a lot of kill skills, and with seeing red, all his kill skills become really easy to activate all at the same time. So I can only imagine that Zane will have tons of kill skills activated at the same time, and this makes me really hopeful to say that he's gonna be one of the strongest characters. We have next up Old U, which is also a survivability skill that gives you a second win when you destroy your digiclone. It's really good. Again, better than putting points in the undercover tree. That it's kinda iffy. It's gonna give more shield, but whatever. Why do you need more shields if you can instantly revive by destroying your digiclone, right? Supersonic Man is a movement speed skill when you activate your action skill. So imagine this, you put points in Supersonic Man, you activate your action skill, you gain 4% at the first level, and then because of the extra movement speed, you're gonna get more gun damage on the Violent Momentum skill. So you see that the double dungeon skill tree synergizes with the Hitman. Because they are like kind of similar the way they work. They are both offensive, although they have some defensive skills, and they have lots of kill skills which synergize a lot of with the Scene Red skill. Like a ghost, this is also a defensive skill right here, which is better than the ones in the undercover tree. Boom Enhanced gives you gun damage, max health, fire rate, and reload speed per grenade that you spend on your digiclone. But the thing is, guys, back here with pocket full of grenades, you get grenade regeneration per second. So if you imagine that in a combat situation you activate your action skill, you automatically are going to start regenerating grenades, and by killing the enemies you keep your kill skill going, and with that you can consume grenades on your digiclone, so it gets more gun damage and more max health, more fire rate and reload speed. It's a quite insane combo if you think about it. So next there's the Trick of Light that gets you bonus shock damage to enemies. This is a skill kinda lost in the place here. I don't actually understand why they put this over here, because there aren't any other shock skills in this character. There's cryo, there's some cryo, of course, we saw it, but shock damage, it just seems to me it's a kind of lost skill. It's something just to occupy a certain place here. I don't understand it, but anyway, it's there if you want to use it. You want to be make an unorthodox build or something. And lastly, you have the double barrel. Basically, the double barrel give you a copy of your weapon to Zane's clone, which is really strong. It's really strong and gives you gun damage, and all of that with costing 1 skill point. You're gonna need to spend 25 skill points to reach here, but yeah, it's 1 skill point for a really massive damage bonus to your clone. So in summary, we have here, let me throw this out here for a moment and basically summarize what we have, the synergy we can have with leveling up Seeing Red. So leveling up Seeing Red, you get kill skills with the activation of action skills. With that, you get movement speed, you get gun damage, you get, what else? Reload speed, you get lifesteal. I'm gonna leave lifesteal out because I'm gonna consider that more on the defensive side. Yeah, and you wanna save points for other offensive skills, to be honest. Down here you have fire rate, so you also get fire rate. What else? You get action skill duration, you get extra projectiles, and going now back to the other skill tree, double agent, we have more action skills here. You get gun damage, health regen also. You get so right here, a chance to throw a grenade with your clone. You get also grenade regeneration. What else? That's basically it. And because of the grenade regeneration, you're gonna have the boom enhanced skill activated, which gives you gun damage, max health, fire rate, reload speed, all of this to your clone. So the point I want to make here to end this video is that with a single action skill activation, you're not only gonna get all the benefits your action skill can bring, if it's either digiclone or your barrier or your drone, you're also gonna get all of the skills activated. So all of these bonuses are gonna be by your side as soon as you activate your action skill. That's it. Let me know, guys, what you think about this. I honestly think he has a great potential to be one of the strongest characters. I never seen a Borderlands character with so many action skills at the same time, like easily activated with not much effort, just activating an action skill and boom, you have all of them. Let me know your opinions about it. What is the character you wanna play Borderlands 3? So let me know also if you want me to analyze other characters when, for example, we have the skill tree of Amara, and maybe I can analyze her if you want. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.